are the differences between a cardiac action potential and the nerve action potential?
So in the cardiac muscles, there is the presence of pacemaker cells, which are unique to the cardiac muscle, which have a unique action potential, which I'm just drawing now. And then this is, okay. So the cardiac action potential, to start with the pacemaker cells, there are just 3 phases. So you have phase 0, phase 4 and phase 3. So in cardiac pacemaker cells, they show automaticity and rhythmicity, which means that there is a constant slow leak of sodium out of the cells called the funny current. At a point, this will reach a threshold potential. This then causes opening of calcium channels, causing a big depolarization to about +40, at which point the calcium channels will close, the sodium channels will close, and you get repolarization due to influx of potassium ions. So that's different from a nerve action potential, where it needs an external stimulus to set off the action potential. They also show rhythmicity, which means that this is sort of on a time cycling system. And then, so the nerve action potential has 4 phases. As I said, it has to be set off by an external stimulus. The voltages are slightly different. So in a nerve, the resting membrane potential is about -90, and the depolarization is to about +30 millivolts.
Sorry, this in nerve, you said, what did you say is the RMP?
The resting membrane potential?
Yeah, for nerves.
-90 millivolts.
Okay. All right. So describe the action potential of a contractile tissue, like the ventricles in the heart.
Okay, so sorry, this is a bit messy. So the ventricles, for example, again, starting with the resting membrane potential, this is maintained by impermeability to sodium, but permeability to, or relative impermeability to potassium. There is then a depolarization, usually due to action of surrounding cells. So, for example, the rhythmic depolarization that goes throughout the ventricles. You then enter phase 0. So this is opening of the sodium channels, which causes depolarization past the threshold potential of -40, up to about +30. You then get an initial repolarization, which is from efflux of potassium ions, a plateau phase, which is maintained by calcium channels being open, and then a depolarization from the efflux of potassium ions back to the resting membrane potential.
What's the absolute refractory period?
So the absolute refractory period is the period in the nerve depolarization when there will not be further depolarization, no matter the size of the stimulus. So it is around there on the sinoatrial node. And
how long is it?
It's about 200 milliseconds.
Okay. What about the relative refractory period?
So the relative refractory period describes a period of time when there can be a further depolarization, but only from a supramaximal stimulus. So it's sort of 50 milliseconds after the end of the absolute refractory period.
So what's the total length of the cardiac action potential?
So I think it's 300 milliseconds, but.
What about the nerve action potential, the length of?
So the nerve action potentials are much faster than that.
Okay, I'll stop you there.